What does it take to do a good resin pour? It comes down to preparation and environment. Let's talk about our environment. We're standing in our finish room right now. The same room we do all of our epoxy pours. We've sealed the ceiling, we seal all of the walls. We make sure that this room is completely independent from our very busy and dusty shop. We don't want any of those imperfections coming into this room. Any of those particles floating through are gonna find their way into the epoxy pour. We want it clear, we want it clean, we don't want dust in it, we don't want anything in it. We have air conditioning units in the room, we have dehumidifiers in the room, we have air purifiers in the room. All of these are working together to get the humidity right in the room, the temperature right, and make sure the air is clear and clean. Now let's talk about preparation. A big epoxy pour always starts with the mold. We build the mold out based on what we're trying to do. Let's look at what we're pouring today. We're gonna be pouring a double live edge river table. What does that mean? We've got a live edge on the outside, we've got a live edge on the inside, and the river is the epoxy that's gonna go in the center. Really popular design, we do these all the time. So we start with mold. We know how big our table wants to be in the end, so we make our mold, seal the bottom, and seal any opening gaps. In this case, they're on either end. So we want to make sure when we pour the resin in, it's going to flow like liquid. We want to make sure there's no place the epoxy can go where we don't want it. But at the same time, we have voids in the surface. We have areas that we want to fill with epoxy that are not in the main river. So we take silicone and we outline those areas. We create what we call a dam around all of the sections where we want epoxy to end up. The next step is the preparation of the material itself. Now this material has been surfaced on both sides, so we have true flat material, so you're not going to have a void in the bottom that sneaks out resin. The material's also been roughly sanded on any edge that is connected to epoxy. Now why do we sand it rough? Well, we want to remove all loose material, i.e. bark or any loose wood off the surface, but we want it rough enough to where epoxy can create a good bond. If you sand this to a mirror-like finish instantly, well then it's gonna be too rough and the epoxy is gonna have a hard time getting a good grip. And that's when you see separation between the wood and the resin. In addition, when we have voids like this, we go in with hand tools typically, and we'll actually, this is the most time-consuming part of the process. We'll go in bit by bit with vacuum, again with hand tools, picking out any loose wood and removing all that out. Because if you think it, with a void like this, there's a lot of loose wood in the middle because this is from decay. So there's soft wood hidden underneath. You've got to pick all that out. Otherwise, when you pour the epoxy in, even loose wood that you can't see now is going to find its way to float to the surface, and you're going to see it in the end result. Now we've got our mold built. The next step here is making sure we do one final check to make sure the surface is clean. We take shop towels, we wipe it along the area where the resin's gonna go. Now I've already done this, so I'm quite sure that the area is clean. And then we go for mold release. We use high temp mold release because this is an exothermic reaction, so heat is gonna be created. And we take this on and we buff it. This is gonna help us separate the cured epoxy pour from the mold in about a week when it's cured. I'm not looking for a thick coat, just a thin layer. I wanna be careful not to get it on the wood, as it is slightly blue in color, and we don't want blue in this pour. Now we're gonna give this about a half hour to dry, and while that dries, we're gonna go ahead and mix the resin. Now we're over here at our raw epoxy storage. It's a two-part epoxy, part A, part B. We're gonna start with part A. It's a 2-to-1. So we're gonna go ahead and fill this up to the 2 mark, and then we're gonna go to the 3 with the hardener. We've got a paint filter inside this bucket, which we will use to filter out any imperfections. All right, now we're gonna add the hardener. Now that we've added both parts of the resin, we're gonna mix it. Now when we're mixing, what's important is that we're not whipping air into the resin. We wanna start slow. And the max speed I go is usually the slow setting on the drill, which is about here. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Now we're moving on to dyeing the resin. Now in this case, we're gonna do a very subtle black tint to our epoxy. We have 2 options when we're dyeing resin. We can use mica powder, which is essentially the same tinting mechanism that's used in soap. It'll give it more of a metallic-y look. Put in a small scoop of that. In addition, we're gonna be using high resolution dye. In this case, it's called trans tint. Now this is very strong stuff. So in a large bucket like this, we're gonna use 2 drops. And we mix it in. our second bucket. We'll add the same amount of dye in. Now it's time to pour the resin. We're gonna pour it slowly from one end and let it find its own level. I mean, we gotta fill in some gaps, but okay, now the resin is poured. You can see we've not only poured in the main river, but in almost every case, there's cracks and voids within the wood itself. We made sure we added the same tinted resin to those voids. You might think it looks pretty messy right now, and you would be correct. That's normal. It gets a little messy when we pour the resin all over, but that is for good reason. We want to make sure that we pour resin in excess of the thickness of the wood. After this sits for a week and cures to full hardness, we're going to remove it out of the mold. We're going to get it back on our CNC, and we're going to surface off about 1/8 of an inch off the top and about 1/8 of an inch off the bottom. Of course, we're going to square up the ends as well, and then bring it through our typical table making process from there to bring it up into what is a final product. Now you're going to see all these bubbles start to come to the surface, and a lot of people now would take a torch and kind of force those bubbles to the surface the rest of the way. Now we don't do that here at Paramount because epoxy is a two-part exothermic reaction, which means it's releasing heat as it's reacting, turning from a liquid to a solid. We don't want to add a lot of heat into any specific area and therefore speed up that process. We want it to happen slow, and we want it to happen gradually and allow all those bubbles to come to the surface naturally and at their own pace. Okay, the epoxy pour is done. We're going to let it do its thing for the next week. We'll see you in 7 days when it's time to demold. There are no screws. Really?
No!
Oh yeah!
After a week of waiting, we couldn't be happier with the end result. Crystal clear and bubble free. Now, we got it out of the mold, we moved it over onto our CNC, and on the CNC, we flattened the top, we flattened the bottom, and we put in V-stabilizers into the underside. Once the CNC is done doing its thing, we move it upstairs onto our wide belt sander, and then our team of craftsmen go to work hand sanding all edges meticulously for often days. Once we're done with sanding, we move it down into our finish room, where here all the magic and all the hard work really comes together into something special. And now you've gotten a glimpse into how we here at Paramount Wood Co. approach epoxy resin work, the meticulous care and passion we have for each piece we make. We hope that shows in the end result. Now please enjoy some beautiful shots of our work.